Alrighty, thank you for joining my Zoom tonight. This is my first one I'm doing, so I'm pre-recording it. I am going to keep it live though, just so I can see how the Zoom works. I didn't want to make any mistakes on my first Zoom and be embarrassed by it. So I am cooking the Marry Me chicken pasta tonight. It is such a quick recipe. It is absolutely amazing. The family love it. It makes a lot, so the Thermomix will be full with it. You can also make it on a weekend, pop it into the fridge and turn it into a bake for another dish through the week if you wanted to, but it is such a quick recipe, like it's 20 minutes and the recipe is done. So let's start, and while it's cooking I will come and show you the screen and everything that the TM7 has to offer, and then at the end we'll have some questions and answers if there's any to ask. Alrighty, so I'm going to go into my week, and it is in my planner. There's a couple of recipes in here because I wasn't sure what I was going to make tonight. So I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom one, which is Marry Me chicken pasta. So the beautiful TM7 screen, it's a 10-inch screen. Everything is right there on display. You've got your overview, your ingredients, your preparation tips. You can scroll down and look at everything all on the first screen, or you can just go step by step. So we can look at the ingredients, we can look at the preparation, the tips. So I'm just going to go back to the overview and we'll hit start. We'll start cooking, and then as each step, because it uses the high heat function, I'll bring the phone over so that you can have a look and see what it does. Alrighty, so first step is to place Parmesan cheese. Now, I actually grate my Parmesan cheese every weekend when I buy new blocks. I grate it. I have it in the fridge ready to go because it saves this step. So I'm just going to get that out the fridge because I forgot about that. So this is what I do. So I grate mozzarella, Parmesan and tasty cheese. I just sticky tape the little label over there, and I stack the 3 containers in the fridge ready to use. When you grate Parmesan cheese in your bowl, usually it asks you to wash your bowl afterwards so that the cheese doesn't burn to your bowl, so it just saves that step. So I'm just going to read ahead and see what it says. So it wants me to grate it and transfer it into a bowl and sit it aside. So I'm actually just going to sit that aside right now, and I'm going to skip that step. So I'm just going to come down and start at this future step right here. So I'm going to hit set as current step. Okay, so then it wants some garlic cloves too. I've probably got 3 there. And then we can just tick it off. Then it wants some sun-dried tomatoes. So there's a couple of different functions with your TM7. You can have it so that you tick the ingredients off, or you can have it set so that once you put the ingredient in, it'll actually wipe it away and tick it off itself. So I've just got 100 grams. That's a little bit over, but that's okay. I'm just going to tick that off. A red capsicum cut into pieces, some sea salt and some pepper. Now you actually don't even need to tick them off if you don't want to, but if you don't, so when you're going through each recipe, let's just take this one back off. So back to the sun-dried tomatoes, it'll bring the scales up. So if you didn't tick it off, it just wouldn't set the scales, like it wouldn't put them back to 0, but you can just do that yourself by hitting the tear button. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the next button here, and we're going to saute that for 4 minutes, and we'll just hit play. It's actually sauteing it for 160 degrees, so that is higher than any of the other model Thermomixes, 160 degrees. So for the high heat function, it can be gentle or it can be intense. I'm just going to show you. I'll move this in. So as you can see there, it says gentle. So it's going to be a gentle high heat, but if you had the intense, it would pump it up even more and really, really caramelize whatever you've got in there. So you'll start to hear it soon. It's very quiet. So here it goes now. The bowl is insulated, so you can actually touch this no matter how hot it is. You can touch your bowl and you will not burn yourself. So it's starting to go red here now. once you hear the sizzle, I'll move you closer. You can take the lid off at any time. So the lid is a magnetic latch, and once it gets to speed 3, it will lock down. So if it's speed spoon, so the slower speed, or up to speed 3, you can actually take that lid off at any time without having the delay. So like with your TM5 and your TM6 models, I've still got my 6 over the back there. When you press stop, you do need to wait for the arms to open, but with the TM7, you can take the lid off at any time if it is speed 3 or under. So I just want you to hear this. You get the picture. What I love about the high heat function on the TM7 is it really does caramelize it. So, you know, when you're sauteing onion, bacon, capsicum, anything like that on the stove, the splatter goes everywhere. It's all contained in here. It smells amazing. All the mess is contained in here, so there's no splatter, and I absolutely love that. I refuse to use any frying pan or anything in this house. So the high heat function is fantastic. Now you actually have the ability to touch the screen at any time, and if I wanted to put this onto you know, extra minutes, another temperature, you have the option to do that. So all you do is touch whatever it is that you need, and it'll let you adjust it. While you are using your Thermomix, you can use your scales at any time as well. So there's a little drop down screen here. As you can see, we're up to, it tells us what step we're up to, step 6 out of 16 steps. You can use your scales, you can set a timer. So what example would you set a timer for? I don't know, if you're cooking here and you've got a bit of dough proving, you could set a timer to let you know once that dough has been proved. I don't use that, to be honest. I don't use the timer, but a lot of people swear by it. I don't know, I've never had to really use it. I just follow recipes. So we'll just go back to here. 24 seconds left. Veggie stock paste is a staple. As you know, it's a staple in the Thermomix world. Because the flavour in your stock paste is amazing, the chicken stock as well. It lasts in the fridge for months. So, you know, whenever you're cooking a recipe from scratch, especially a main meal, it will usually ask for stock paste because of the flavour that is in there. All right, I'm going to take the lid off and bring you over. Yum. Oh my gosh, the smell is so good. Okay, so let's come back. What's it going to ask us to do now? You can actually repeat. I'm going to go back here to this step for a minute because I want to show you. Oh, it's gone. So now it'll have a plus sign, but you can actually go back and repeat it. So if you wanted them even more caramelized, you could do that. All right, so now we're going to chop it for 5 seconds on speed 5. Okay. So good. Scrape down your spatula. Because it's longer, you can actually scrape around the bowl. So much better. And it stands up, so I'm just going to stand that up next to my Thermomix just there, and it doesn't dirty the bench. Okay, so scrape down the sides, we've done that. Now we're going to add everything else in. So I'll just bring you back here and we'll continue. Alrighty, so 500 grams of chicken breast. I don't know how much I've got in here, but I'm just going to put it all in, so let's see what it says. I usually do always add extra protein because I've got a bigger family and all the teenage boys. So that actually is 730 grams there, but that's totally fine. I'm just going to get some cream. 1
Cream.
Okay, 250 grams. I've got another one here. Spot on, holy doly. Okay, so see how it's just gone by itself now? And then we're just going to pop in some water. 400 grams. And some paprika. And we want some dried Italian herbs. And some veggie stock paste. 1 tablespoon. Might just add a little bit extra because I do have a bit more chicken in there. Okay, and next it wants us to cook it for 12 minutes. There you go. Oh no, it does want the lid on for this bit. Okay, so 12 minutes on 100 degrees, spoon speed, so very, very gentle, and it's put it on reverse. So that is now cooking for 12 minutes. One thing that I find about the TM7 is I actually don't know if it's ever on because it is so quiet. I was cooking something the other night and it had finished. And I don't have my sound up very high, and I actually couldn't hear it, and I just assumed it was still cooking, but it actually wasn't. So I'm just going to pop this away and then I'll come back. Okay, while that's cooking, I just wanted to show you what the TM7 does come with. So if you have never had a Thermomix before, take note of this. If you have had a Thermomix before, it is the same stuff, but it has improved. So they have changed the design. So first of all, you get the simmering basket. So this sits inside your bowl in here. So it's perfect for layered cooking, rice, potatoes, mince, chicken, you name it. Whatever you want to cook in here, you can. You can have a soup cooking in the bottom here, as well as, you know, some potato in here. You can have your protein and your vegetables steaming at the top, so you can make 2 meals in one. So that is your basket, and a recipe will always tell you when you need to use this, unless you're doing something yourself. Then you just put it in, and I'll show you how to use that later. Then you've got your Varoma. So your Varoma is bigger than the TM5, the TM6 and the TM31. Absolutely fantastic. It is 45% bigger. It's rectangle, whereas the other models are oval, so you can fit, you know, like an oven tray, a glass Pyrex dish if you're making a dessert or like a pudding. I fit 2 chickens in here. So I actually made a layered meal a couple of weeks ago, and I fit 2 whole chickens in here. Then you've got your tray. So that's another layer again. Perfect how it's rectangle. So your Varoma sits on top just like that, without your measuring cup for those who don't have a Thermomix or haven't had one. So your Varoma is perfect for multi-layered cooking. There's so many recipes that allow you to do layered cooking. I love this, and it actually lives on my TM6 over here because I use that instead of the other one. This is your butterfly. So it sits over the top of your blades. It'll be used for aerating. You know, sometimes when you make risotto chicken dishes, it'll ask for it. With the TM7, because you can do open cooking, you can slow cook, you can, you know, cook so many recipes that don't actually use this that the other models would have asked for. So really good for like the whipping cream and that, if I didn't already say that. You do get your spatula as well. You get your bowl, so a 2.2 litre insulated bowl. So this, as you can see, it's now sitting at 85 degrees. You can touch it and you don't get burnt at all. Great if you've got kids around who, you know, may help in the kitchen, and instead of accidentally touching the steel on the other models, this one is safe. Your base is much slimmer, so it doesn't take up as much room in the kitchen. Everything is dishwasher safe, obviously, besides this bottom part. Everything can go in the dishwasher. Your blades some people don't like to. I do, to be honest. I always have. I've never had any issue with my blades going blunt. I've actually never needed a replacement set of blades either. So that's entirely up to you. This outside, I don't wash very often at all, except for maybe if I'm you know, making a cake and a bit of batter goes on it. But I usually don't wash that. I just wash the internal part, and I'll show you how it comes apart. So I have really bad wrist from years of physical work at Woolworths. So the base on the other models, sometimes they get a little bit tight, and it's really hard for me to undo. With the TM7, all you do is slide that latch, and out your blades come. And then your bowl is just like that, comes out just like that, and then your outer bowl. So it just goes back in just as easy. The blades go in the bottom, and you just turn your latch just like that. And that is how you set your bowl up. The measuring cup, obviously it's a different design to the other models as well. Really, you don't even need it, because if you have a look at the lid, not much can get through. So it's only got these tiny little holes here. So not much can get through. If you don't put your lid on, I think it's totally okay. The TM5, the TM6 and the 31, it was good to be able to take your measuring cup off and have that big hole so that you could have a look and also put food in there. But you can actually siphon food through here as well. So you can still put your eggs down there, or your oil if you're emulsifying and making mayonnaise. But because the lid doesn't lock under speed 3, you can always just take your lid off straight away, pop in whatever you need to, and then put your lid back on. So it doesn't restrict you by not having the big hole with the measuring cup like the other models. Okay, this is a blade cover. If you watched my Silverside video the other day, you would see that I did use it. So it just sits over the top of your blades, and it'll just protect any food from touching the blade. So this will spin round without chopping your food, so your food is protected. It's also the peeler, so you can actually peel potatoes, beetroot, carrots, any hardy vegetables you want. So I'll just show you. Sorry, mine's a little bit grubby from being in the dishwasher. But they're these little sharp bits here. They're not sharp. They're not too sharp that you cut yourself. That is what peels. So again, for people who have bad wrists, you don't need to peel your potatoes or anything. You can just put it in the Thermomix and set the peeler mode and do it yourself. Also great for time poor people. So if you're a mum and you've got little kids, put the peeler on, peel your potatoes, go and bath the babies, come back and your potatoes are already peeled, rather than stand there and have to peel them at the sink. So that is a great addition to the Thermomix as well. Okay, this is the Cutter Plus. It is absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. This month you can actually get it for $50 as a host reward, which is insane. It's worth $2.90, I think it's worth. So such a bargain. Now I'm going to show you what this is. So it sits inside your bowl. So it doesn't have the lid. You take the lid off and this sits inside, and there are all different little attachments to go with it. So you can spiralize, which is zoodles. You can chop, you can grate, you can slice. So, you know, if you're doing a salad, grate through summer, do your salad in here. You can grate with this one, you can chop with it as well. So I'll just show you. I do have a video on my page where I use this, and I used all 4 modes if you want to have a bit of a sticky beat. So this one is slicing, where you can slice your potatoes, carrots, zucchini, cucumber. And then this side here is your grating. So you've got your thin and your thick grating, and that one there is your thin and your thick slicing. And then with your different attachments here, you can do different things as well. So the Cutter Plus is so brilliant. I really, really do recommend it. What you do is you put the food through the chute. So it actually goes through here. So you just feed it in and off it goes. So with the different attachments, depending on what you're using, what you're making, you'll use the different attachments for that. Okay, 5 seconds left. Done. Bring you over and have a look. Beautiful. Okay, so what's it want us to add now? Some pasta. Just bring it down here. I don't know why it's being wobbly. All right, so I want some dried fusilli pasta or small dried pasta. So 300 grams. So I use this pasta here from Aldi. You can get it from Coles as well. It is not San Remo or anything like that. It's the better brand. Not Barilla. I'll post a picture of what it is, but it is so fantastic. Aldi do have it cheaper as well. So we want 300 grams. Okay. Wants us to stir it with the spatula. Remember the chicken, the sun-dried tomato mixture, the cream, it's all in here already. Okay, and then it wants us to cook without the lid. So it wants us to set the time to whatever the packet said. So I usually set it for 10 minutes and I'm add another 3. So 13 minutes. You can also slide your screen just like that if you want, but I like to use the preset. So 13 minutes, it's set at 100 and we just hit play. So now it is cooking without the lid. So you'll see that it'll start to bubble soon. I'm just gonna leave it live. There you go, you can see it bubbling already. How cool is that? And again, unlike your stove, which is a regular heat, your Thermomix will stay regulated. It'll stay at the 100 degrees. It'll never go more than that. So you don't actually end up with the burnt base. You don't end up with, splatter over the kitchen because it's got too hot. It'll just stay at the perfect temperature and cook until the time runs out. So you can never ever burn anything. Again, perfect for time poor people. You get home from work after working a full day, you can put dinner on, you can go and have a shower. You're a busy mum, you can put dinner on, you can go and feed the babies, you can bath the babies, do whatever you need to do. On a weekend, you can put dinner on, you can sit down, have a wine, listen to some music, hands-free. The hands-free cooking is probably my most favourite thing about the Thermomix. However, I do also love cookie dough. So I'm going to go in here and have a bit of a sticky beak with you. Okay, so this is the main screen. Oh, why is it going like that? Okay, this is the main screen. So you can set it up over here however you like. I've got it set with my week, which is my weekly planner, manual mode, pre-clean, and the tutorials and help because, I do go through with my customers sometimes with things like that. If you scroll down, you've got bookmarks. So these are recipes that I've bookmarked. I don't know how I've ever bookmarked half of these recipes, but anyway, apparently I have. This is my recently cooked. So anything I have cooked in this Thermomix recently. If you've got a couple of Thermomixes, this will change depending on what you cook in each Thermomix. Trending now, so if you scroll down a little bit more, these are recipes that are quite popular on Cookie Doo at the minute. So gives you some good options. I do always like to have a look at that on a weekend when I'm meal planning. Fresh from the oven. So this section here changes often. So fresh from the oven or Christmas, if it's Christmas time, it'll have, Christmas dinner meals. Mother's Day, it'll have biscuits and things like that. You can edit your home screen. So that's where you can adjust whatever you want up here. If you go to your cookbook over on that side, this is where all of your recipes are kept for whatever you've saved on Cookie Doo. So you don't have to have a Cookie Doo subscription. You can definitely use your Thermomix without that. But I love guided cooking. I love looking on Cookie Doo, having a sticky beak through and trying to cook new recipes. I do like to make collections as well for my favourite type of recipes. There we go. So these are cookbooks. So they're full cookbooks that I have saved. However, there are so many cookbooks. There's hundreds of thousands of recipes on Cookie Doo. So you don't, need to save the collections as such. But I've got also my recipe list. So these are lists that I have created myself. So it's in alphabetical order. And these, whenever I find a new recipe that I like, I just put it into whatever collection I want to. So it's a good way to save your recipes here. In your blades here, this is where all the functions are. So over 20 different functions. Okay, and then if you go down here, it's got your presets. So this is especially good if you are new to ThermiWorld as well. If you go in, let's just go into let's just choose chicken. Where's chicken? Poultry, it's under poultry. Here we go. So it'll ask us, what do we want to do? Do we want to mince or steam? So let's go and steam some chicken. What type of chicken do you have? Let's go chicken breast. All right, so it tells you to put 500 grams of water into your mixing bowl. How many are you going to use? I'm a bigger family, so I'm going to go the bigger one. Okay, 4 to 6. Oh, it won't let me go any further because I'm cooking. Oh, that sucks. Sorry. If you wanted to search on Cookie Do, press your magnifying glass over here, and this is where you can come on and find all of the recipes. So I do have some filters on here. So at the moment it's showing 11,500 recipes. But if you don't have filters, you can have a look at so many more. Mine are for English only, so that's how I've got it set. If you want to search Cookie Do for whatever you want, so let's just say you want to make asparagus risotto. You go up here and you type in asparagus. Hit search. And this is all of the asparagus that all of the risotto, sorry, that has got asparagus in it, or rice that has got asparagus. So you can filter it to suit whatever. So if you don't want anything with nuts in it, you can type in here to exclude nuts. So you can, you know, filter it right down. So that is that. Let's go up here and have a look and see what it looks like right now. Okay, we've got 7 minutes. I'm going to go back to the functions and let's have a look at the functions. Let's go back. Clear all that off. Okay, so the functions, you have got manual mode. You've got pre-clean, and pre-clean has got a couple of different functions. I think there's 5 pre-clean. So depending on what you've cooked, it'll give you suggestions on what setting you should do the pre-clean. You've got the dough, which is if you're making breads, sourdoughs, things like that. You've got your browning mode, which is your high heat. So when you go into browning, that's where you find the 2 different modes. So it's intense, or what one did we just use just now? I forget what that one was called, intense and something else. It won't let me go into it, unfortunately. Steaming, and then it'll ask you, are you using your simmering basket or your Varoma? Then you've got your turbo button, which is good for chopping nuts, ice, things like that. Then you've got your blending, which is just blending. So any type of mixing you've got there. The egg boiler is so good. It also gives you, I think, 5 different consistencies. So how do you want your eggs? Really runny, you know, fairly runny, or a little bit soft, firm, and really hard. So it does give you those options. We're using open cooking right now, so that one's set. You've got your kettle mode. You've got your warm up, which is really good if you're heating up some soup. You've also got your rice cooker, which cooks rice in the bowl. So you can cook it in your simmering basket and steam it, but the rice cooker in here is fantastic, especially if you're doing a bigger batch. You can pop it straight into your bowl and it just makes the most perfect rice. Then you've got your thicken mode, which is where you, can make your creamy sauces, your gravies, your sweet custards. The slow cooker meal is so great. The silver side I had last week turned out amazing. It was for 5 hours, cooked for 5 hours. That's what the recipe asked for. I cooked it for 6 because we did have to go to soccer, but 5 would have been so ideal. Fermentation, so if you're making yogurt, sauerkraut, things like that. You've also got sous vide, which is great if you really want to take the Thermomix to the next level and be like a really fancy chef at a really expensive restaurant, make your sous vide meat, chicken, fish. You've got your peeler mode, which is that peeler that I showed you before. And then you've got your grating, your slicing and your spiralizing. So those three functions there are to be used with the Cutter Plus. Then you've also got your Thermomix sensor. So if you do a lot of baking, a lot of smoking, things like that, you can get your Thermomix sensor, which is a host reward this month as well. And you can link it up to your Thermomix so that they speak to each other. So that's really, really good as well. We've got the Thermomix sensor, but I don't use it for cooking inside. We use it for our smoker. You've got all of your settings, so your sound, your volume, your big writing, your small writing. I do believe, I have heard on the grapevine that you will be able to, the Thermomix will talk to you. So it will actually tell you what to do step by step. I believe that's coming at the end of this year. I haven't had confirmation, but I have been told by somebody who just went over to a huge Thermomix function overseas. So lots of exciting stuff is coming. With your base, there are 6 holes in the base here. So this bowl has got 5 prongs. So that's the heat, just like a frying pan prong. So there's 5 prongs at the bottom here. This has got 6 holes. So something else must be coming to use that 6th prong hole. All right, I'm just going to give it a little stir. And it's just going to continue bubbling away. Okay, it's almost done. I've got my thermo server ready. This is a new thermo server. All right, so it is done. It wants us to transfer the pasta into a bowl with the spinach. So I'm just going to put some baby spinach in the bottom, and then I'll get the spatula, pour in some of that pasta, pop in the rest of the spinach and the rest of the pasta, just to make it easier to stir. So it says to gently stir to combine, and then serve it scattered with the grated parmesan, pepper, chili flakes, which are optional. Everything's optional in Thermomix world though. And serve it up. So there you go. That is Marry Me chicken pasta. Cooked, open cooking. So I'll just put the lid on and I'll put the strap on just to keep that heat in until I'm ready to serve it.